Imagine waking up tomorrow and discovering that you own a billion-dollar airport. Not a small private runway, not a regional terminal, a massive international airport. Hundreds of airplanes arrive every day. Thousands of passengers walk through your buildings every hour. Millions of dollars move through your business before most people even finish their morning coffee. From the outside, it looks like the perfect investment. A machine that never stops. A business connected to the entire world. A piece of infrastructure that entire cities depend on. But here's the problem. An airport is not just a building with airplanes. It is one of the most expensive and complicated businesses humans have ever created. Because every single day, even before your first passenger buys a meal, your airport is already spending money. Security, employees, electricity, maintenance, technology, debt payments. Everything must keep running, whether the airport is full or almost empty. And this creates one of the strangest contradictions in business. Airports are some of the most valuable assets on Earth, yet many struggle to generate the kind of profits people imagine. Most people think airports make money from airplanes. After all, without planes, there is no airport. But the surprising truth is, the airplane itself is only the beginning of the story.
The real money is hidden somewhere else. Inside parking garages, inside shopping areas, inside restaurants, inside cargo facilities, inside the massive pieces of land surrounding the airport. Because a modern airport is not just a transportation hub, it is a financial ecosystem. A city-sized machine designed to turn human movement into revenue. But owning this machine comes with a price. A price so large that even billion-dollar investors think twice before entering this business. So today, we are going to answer one question. If you had enough money to buy an airport, would it make you rich? Or would you discover that you just bought one of the world's most expensive financial problems? Let's find out.
The first question every potential airport owner must answer is simple. How much does an airport actually cost? And the answer depends on one thing. What kind of airport are you trying to own? Because airports exist on a completely different financial scale. A small regional airport might cost hundreds of millions of dollars. A major international airport can cost billions. And a global aviation hub can become one of the most expensive infrastructure projects ever created.
For comparison, building a luxury hotel might cost hundreds of millions. Building a skyscraper might cost a few billion. But building an airport is different, because you are not simply building a building. You are building an entire operating system for a city. You need runways strong enough to handle aircraft weighing hundreds of tons. You need terminals large enough to move millions of passengers. You need security systems, baggage networks, control towers, emergency services, fuel infrastructure, road connections, parking facilities, and everything must work perfectly every single day. A mistake at a hotel might disappoint customers. A mistake at an airport can stop an entire transportation network. That is why airports are so expensive.
They are not just properties, they are machines. And every machine.
But here is where things become even more complicated. You might think the easiest way to become an airport owner is simply to buy one. Find an airport, pay the owner, take control. But airports rarely work like normal businesses. Many are connected to governments. Many operate under special agreements. Many have decades of history behind them. Buying an airport is not like buying a restaurant. It is closer to buying a small city. A city with thousands of employees, millions of customers, and billions of dollars of infrastructure.
And then comes the biggest challenge. The purchase price is only the beginning, because an airport is never truly finished. A successful airport must constantly expand. More passengers mean more gates. More flights mean more parking. More security requirements mean more technology. More airlines mean more infrastructure. The moment you stop investing, your airport starts falling behind. This creates a strange situation. An airport can be worth billions of dollars and still require hundreds of millions more just to remain competitive.
This is why professional investors look at airports differently from ordinary businesses. They are not asking, how much money does this airport make today? They are asking, will this airport still be valuable 30 years from now? Because airport investments are not designed for quick profits. They are long-term bets, sometimes lasting decades.
And when those bets are correct, the rewards can be enormous. A successful airport can transform an entire region. It can attract companies, increase tourism, create thousands of jobs, and become one of the most valuable assets in a city. But when those bets are wrong, the consequences can be devastating. Because an empty restaurant can close, an empty hotel can be sold. But an empty airport is a billion-dollar problem sitting on the ground. So, before understanding how airports make money, we first need to understand something more important. What exactly is the machine you are buying? Because the airport you see from the outside is only a small part of the real business. And the biggest money-making opportunities are hidden where most passengers never look.
When most people think about airports, they imagine airplanes, the giant machines taking off, the runways, the control towers, the pilots. But the biggest financial surprise about airports is this. The airplane is not always where the real money is. Because an airport is not just a place where planes arrive and leave. It is a massive commercial ecosystem. And every person walking through the terminal is a potential source of revenue.
Imagine you are an airport owner. A passenger arrives at your terminal. Before they ever board a plane, they have already entered several businesses that make you money. They might park their car, buy a coffee, eat at a restaurant, shop for electronics, purchase luxury goods, use a premium lounge, rent a vehicle, stay at an airport hotel. Every step creates another opportunity. And this is the hidden economics of airports. The airport does not simply move people, it monetizes movement.
The first major source of hidden revenue is parking. Most passengers barely think about it. They simply leave their car and start their journey. But for airport owners, parking can be one of the most attractive businesses on the entire property. Why? Because demand is predictable. People need somewhere to leave their vehicles. Airports have limited space, and that creates a valuable service.
A large airport parking operation can generate millions of dollars every year from a business that has nothing to do with airplanes. The second major source is retail. This is where airports become surprisingly similar to shopping malls. After passengers pass through security, they enter a controlled commercial environment. They are waiting, they have time, and many are willing to spend money. Luxury brands understand this. A traveler going on vacation may not plan to buy an expensive watch or perfume, but inside an airport, surrounded by premium stores, the decision becomes easier. This is why airports carefully design passenger movement. The goal is not only to move people from point A to point B. The goal is to create valuable moments where people spend money. And then there is food. Restaurants, coffee shops, bars, fast food. Airport food is not just about feeding passengers. It is another revenue stream built around waiting time. A passenger with 2 hours before a flight is not just waiting. They are a customer.
But the most surprising part of the airport business is something most travelers never see: the land around the airport. Because many airports are becoming real estate companies. Large airports control enormous amounts of valuable land. That land can become hotels, office buildings, warehouses, logistics centers, maintenance facilities, business parks. The airport creates the traffic. The surrounding businesses capture the value. And this changes the way you see airports completely. The runway is not just a place where airplanes land. It is an economic engine. It brings millions of people into one location. And smart owners build businesses around that movement. Cargo is another hidden opportunity. While passengers see terminals and gates, behind the scenes, massive logistics operations are constantly moving goods around the world. E-commerce companies need warehouses. Companies need fast transportation. Businesses need global connections. And airports provide exactly that. This is why the most successful airports are not dependent on one source of income. They are diversified machines. If airline revenue slows down, retail can help. If passengers spend less, cargo may continue growing. If flights decrease, real estate can still create value. The airport survives because it is not just one business. It is many businesses connected together.
But there's a dangerous side to this model, because every advantage an airport has also creates enormous costs. The same size that creates billions in revenue creates billions in expenses. The same infrastructure that makes an airport valuable can become a financial burden. And this is where many investors discover the truth. Owning an airport is not about collecting money. It is about controlling one of the most complicated machines on Earth. And keeping that machine alive is where the real challenge begins.
From the outside, owning an airport looks like the ultimate investment. Millions of passengers, billions in revenue. A business connected to the entire global economy. But there is a problem. Revenue is not the same thing as profit. And this is where many people misunderstand the airport business. An airport can generate billions of dollars every year and still struggle financially. Because running an airport is like running a city, and cities are expensive. They require constant investment, constant maintenance, constant upgrades. The first major cost is infrastructure. runways are not normal roads. Every day, they are hit by aircraft weighing hundreds of tons. They experience extreme pressure, weather damage, and constant wear. They must be inspected, repaired, resurfaced, and upgraded. A runway failure is not just a repair problem. It can shut down an entire airport.
Then there is security. Every passenger walking through an airport represents a complex security operation. Thousands of employees, advanced scanning systems, surveillance technology, emergency teams, cybersecurity. All of this exists in the background, and passengers rarely notice it. But someone has to pay for it.
Then comes one of the biggest expenses: employees. Large airports require thousands of people: engineers, maintenance crews, operations teams, security staff, fire and rescue workers, technology specialists, customer service employees. And unlike many businesses, an airport cannot simply reduce staff during slow periods. The infrastructure must always be ready.
But perhaps the biggest financial challenge is something most people never see: debt. Because airports are usually built with borrowed money. A new terminal can cost billions. A runway expansion can cost billions. A transportation connection can cost billions. Investors often accept these costs because they expect decades of future growth. But debt creates pressure. The airport still has to make payments, even when passenger numbers fall. And this is where the airport business becomes dangerous, because the biggest costs are fixed. They do not disappear when customers disappear.
The perfect example was the global aviation crisis of 2020. Airports that were normally full suddenly became almost empty. Flights disappeared. Passengers stayed home. But the buildings remained. The runways remained. The employees remained. The bills continued. And that revealed the biggest weakness of airport ownership. An airport is incredibly powerful when people are moving, but extremely vulnerable when they stop.
There is another challenge. Airports are not completely controlled by their owners. They operate inside a world of regulations and politics. Governments influence where airports can expand, how security works, what fees can be charged, what environmental rules must be followed. An airport owner is not just managing a business. They are managing relationships with airlines, governments, employees, and millions of passengers. This is why airports are so difficult to operate. The same things that make them valuable also make them dangerous. Huge scale, huge opportunity, huge responsibility. So after everything we have discovered, we can finally answer the real ownership question. If you bought an airport for billions of dollars, what would the numbers actually look like?
Imagine purchasing a major international airport for $10 billion. The airport generates $2.5 billion in annual revenue, but operating costs consume $2 billion, leaving around $500 million in operating profit. That sounds impressive, until you remember the airport still needs constant investment. New terminals, technology upgrades, infrastructure repairs, expansion projects,
the money never simply goes into your pocket. The airport can make you wealthy, but it will never stop demanding more. And that is the final truth about owning an airport. You are not buying a machine that prints money. You are buying a machine that requires billions of dollars just to keep running.
After looking behind the scenes, the answer becomes clear. Owning an airport is not a simple business. It is not like owning a restaurant, a hotel, or a normal piece of real estate. An airport is something much bigger. It is infrastructure. It is transportation. It is retail. It is logistics. It is real estate. All combined into one enormous financial machine. The potential is incredible. A successful airport can create billions in economic value. It can transform cities, attract companies, create jobs, and become one of the most important assets in an entire region. But the risks are just as massive. The investment is enormous. The operating costs never stop. The regulations are complex. And one major crisis can change the entire business overnight.
So, would a smart investor buy an airport? The answer is yes, but only under the right conditions. A great airport in the right location with strong passenger growth, good management, and multiple sources of revenue can become an extraordinary long-term investment. But a bad airport, even one worth billions on paper, can become a financial burden that never ends. Investment score, 8 out of 10. Profit potential, high. Risk, very high. Difficulty, almost impossible compared to ordinary businesses. The biggest lesson is not about airports. It is about business itself. The things that look the most valuable from the outside are often the most complicated behind the scenes. Because owning an airport does not mean owning airplanes. It means owning a system that connects millions of people, billions of dollars, and the future of an entire economy. So the next time you walk through an airport, look beyond the gates. Look beyond the airplanes. Because underneath all the glass and steel, there is something much bigger happening. You are not standing inside a building. You are standing inside one of the most complex money machines ever created.